On today's show, after an eternity, the Clippers are back and the Denver Nuggets are the opponent on Friday night. Can they make it 3-0 against the Nugs this season? Gonna be talking about it all on today's Locked On. It's been way too long, Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir, you are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA sports, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where I want you to let me know what your prediction is for this game against the Denver Nuggets on Friday night and whatever else you want to comment about the episode. And you can also follow this or listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video. And this episode is brought to you by Robinhood. The new standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. And Locked On Clippers now has a daily newsletter introducing the Locked On Clippers daily newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at lockedondaily.com. It's very helpful to your boy because I write it and spend time on it every day. That's lockedondaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Clippers newsletter. All right, Clipper Nation, it's been a little minute, right? Been a little minute. But we got the Denver Nuggets tonight. And we're 2-0 against them this season. But I know before we even talk about the matchup, the preview of the game, we got to talk about who's playing, right? Because Clippers are pretty banged up last game. So the injury report as it stands right now, at the time of this recording in the morning, is that we have James Harden available as of now. It says Kawhi Leonard, Terrence Mann, and Derrick Jones Jr. all remain out for the game against Denver, but James Harden is back. Looks like Bamba is also back, and Amir Coffey as well. So that's a really good sign. You get those three guys back. With Bamba, you get a backup center option, which right now, as far as the Denver Nuggets, when Jokic goes to the bench, their option is like, I don't even know what. Because they play Peyton Watson, they play Russell Westbrook, but off the bench, sometimes they play DeAndre Jordan, but that's not a solid backup center in the year 2025. And we're almost at that year. So they really have no backup center. The guy that plays the most minutes at center outside of Jokic is DeAndre Jordan. And he's only played in 10 games. So hopefully Bamba can, when Jokic is out of the game, get some offensive rebounds, give us some second chance opportunities, and impose his will on the glass. That's one thing I'm looking forward to with him. With Amir, I think he's going to have a huge role tonight. I think even if he doesn't start, which I'll talk about, in the next segment, what we're going to do with our starting lineup, even if he doesn't start, he's going to have a big role because without Terrence Mann, you don't have another guy that can go out there and guard, go out there and make shots, athletic guy. That's what Amir Coffey's been doing all season long and shooting the ball insanely efficiently. So, you're going to need him. Here's my point. Not having him and Terrence Mann is pretty bad for the Clippers because they both operate in similar ways in the sense that, the homegrown wings, they're going to go out there and guard good players. They're going to give you energy, and they're going to score some points. But I think Amir Coffey has been definitely better at the scoring points part this season. And he's averaging 10 points a game, which is a great sign for somebody who, although he has started 7 games, is a bench player on this team. To be in double figures and be shooting it at such a high percentage, 49% from the field and 43 from 3 and 85 from the line. getting that back is nothing to scoff at. And then James Harden, the engine of the team, the system, so to speak, the guy that has run our offense and kept us above water so far this season. Not to say that he's the only reason for it, but for me, he is the main reason for it because there's just not another guy on this team that can create shots to that extent. And he's an all-time floor raiser, as we know. James Harden averaging 22, 7 rebounds, and 8.5 assists so far this season, and 2 steals and a block to boot. He has started 24 games. He's missed 1. And the only stat I think, well, a couple stats you probably would say, it could be better, is the 4.4 turnovers a game. If we can get that number to a little bit under 4 by the end of the season, that would be ideal. And then field goal percentage, he's still just shooting 38% from the field and 34% from 3. I think the field goal percentage is a slightly more concerning thing because I think the 3-point percentage has steadily been increasing. So I could see him being at 35, 36% by the end of the season very easily. But having James back, I mean, that just gives us a chance. And remember, James is 16-8 against Nikola Jokic. So, obviously that is a very broad statistic that that covers their entire careers playing against each other. And Jokic obviously ascended, not from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? He had a couple of years where he was just solid, but then he became an all-star really caliber player in 2017-18. And then by 2019-20, everybody knew who he was. And then 2021 is the beginning of the MVP era and his prime and whatnot. But Jokic has struggled against James Harden and the Clippers match up against the Denver Nuggets, because if you can't remember, we had a mental block against the Denver Nuggets prior to Harden coming. And I think part of what has made the matchup against the Nuggets easier for us is that James Harden finds a way to really exploit Nikola Jokic in pick and rolls. And the reason why I say that is because there's 2 different things that the Nuggets will do on a pick and roll, and most teams will do. Oh, they're switched, but the Nuggets aren't going to do that with Jokic because Jokic cannot guard guards one-on-one on the perimeter. They're either going to drop with Jokic or they're going to throw 2 on the ball, meaning Jokic is going to come hedge on the screen or just, show on the ball handle or whatever you want to call it. When Jokic is in drop, to me, the defense is entirely dependent on the point of attack guy because he does not get off the ground. He has a good use of hands and a smart way of using his body, but it's a layup line sometimes when you get to the basket with him. He's not a rim deterrent in any way. And then the more common way we've seen them defend, and they did this in the bubble against us, is they'll have Jokic come out and hedge the ball screen, try to force a guy's sideline. So now you're cutting off the passing angle and you're taking him away from the middle of the floor. So when James Harden's in the middle of the floor, he can see everyone. He can now pass the left and right side at equal distances. And when he throws that pass over the top, it's fairly easy for him because he's such a good passer. He doesn't put too much airtime on the pass, right? But what they would do with Kawhi and Paul was they'd force him to the sideline. And these aren't the type of guys that are going to make pinpoint pocket passes. These aren't the kind of guys that are going to make great lob passes in the short roll. These aren't the kind of guys that are going to see a pass across the court and whip it with one hand and it's going to be super accurate like a LeBron, Luka, or Harden would. They're not those kind of players. They're just not good enough live dribble passers. And what the Nuggets did such a good job of is they'd have Michael Porter Jr., Jeremy Grant, and Paul Millsap, or in this case now, Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr., or Peyton Watson, just rotate and take away Jokic's man, the short roller, the center, and then force you to throw that cross-court pass, right? And by the time you do that, they have recovered. So that's the whole thing. Harden, in my opinion, has done such a great job of whatever defense they're throwing at us, he has a way of making the correct pass that breaks that defense down. And that's why I think we've had so much more success against the Nuggets. So, moral of the story, we have some players back. And as far as the Denver Nuggets, it said Jamal Murray is questionable with a hamstring injury, and Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown are probable. So let's say they play, all 3 of them. I still think we can win. The Nuggets haven't been playing the best basketball lately. If Aaron Gordon and Brown are out, I think we should win, even with our injuries. And if Murray's out, we gotta win. Because despite the fact that he is having an extremely disappointing season so far, without him, they just don't have the same level of threat. And we've had a lot of success playing against Westbrook in these 2 games. So If he's going to be baited into shooting jump shots, long jump shots, by all means, we'll live with that. But coming up, going to be looking at what we can do to win this game and go 3-0 against the Nugs. I got to tell you a little something about Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. All right, Clippers, Nuggets, Friday night hoops. Game is scheduled for 6 p.m. local time. And when I mean local, I mean our local time. NBA TV for the nationally televised audience. If you are not a local viewer, it will be on NBA TV if you have that. But we stand at 14-11. They are at 12-10. So we've literally played 3 more games than them. So it kind of makes sense why we had such a big rest. I don't know how after that big of a rest, there are still teams that have played 3 less games than us, but NBA schedules are weird, so whatever. But, I mean, let's take a look at this game, right? The Denver Nuggets, they haven't been playing great ball. They're 12-10 right now, and partially that's because Aaron Gordon missed several games, and their defense is already not great as is. But without Aaron Gordon, I just talked about that guy on the backside protecting. They lose that. They also lose that high-low action when Jokic catches the ball and teams are like loading up and they're, not standing by the rim. And Aaron Gordon, you can just throw the ball up into the sky and he'll go up and get it. And Jokic's passes are so accurate. But yeah, they've played 22 games this season and Aaron Gordon's missed half of them. That's very significant. And then Jamal Murray, he's missed 5 games. And when he's played, he's not even averaging 20 points. You know what I'm saying? Norman Powell is averaging more points than him and on way better efficiency. So if you were to tell me before the season, Norman Powell is going to have a better season than Jamal Murray, now, of course, there's so much time left still, I'd be like, what? Like, even though Jamal Murray's not known to be a regular season guy, still, that means the Clippers are in business if that's the case. And that's why we are in business. So, and Norm, he had a great quote 2 days ago about getting Kawhi back and what that's going to mean. And saying how, like, right now I'm getting top blocked. Right now I'm getting schemed. Norman Powell's probably never used to getting schemed like this before as an NBA player. Except maybe, like, with Portland a little bit when guys were hurt. But it's going to open up so much for Norm. And while his scoring average might drop a bit, his efficiency might even go up. And it's just going to make his life easier. And it's going to make it harder for teams to defend us. As far as Denver, what do I think we need to do well? I mean, if you look at both games, I think we've done a pretty good job defensively. It starts with Zubats. Jokic is an incredible player. He goes off no matter what. But it's just a matter of making life tough on him. And in the first game against us, the man scored 41 points, but we got him to turn the ball over 5 times. So in that regard, we got something from him, and he turned the ball over 5 times out of the 10 times they turned the ball over. So that was encouraging, and they only scored 42 points in the first half as a team. So our defense is everything. That's what has dictated so much for us this season, and it has to be no different on Friday night. To me, it starts with, let's look at the starting lineup possibilities. Derrick Jones Jr. is out. So what do? Who's starting for sure? If it's Zubats, James Harden, Chris Dunn, and then from there, you kind of have to, and Norman Powell, of course, and then you have to figure out that last spot. When Adam Osland came on in the last episode, we talked about Amir or Nico. The only reason why I'm skeptical about Nico starting is because he has been the guy that has gotten some games with under 15 minutes this year. And he objectively just hasn't been better than Amir Coffey. But we have seen Nico and what he has done against the Denver Nuggets in years past. And, when we do go small, or when we do accidentally have a cross match where Nicholas Batum in transition has to pick up Nikola Jokic, he has held his own for the most part. And I'll just give you a stat. In the first win against Denver this season, Nico played 22 minutes and had only 1 point, but he had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, and he was a plus 17. Plus 17. So that is not coincidental. That is stuff that's not showing up in the box score that he was doing defensively. So, clearly there's something there. If I had to guess, though, I am going to say he starts Amir. What do I think is best? Well, let's think, right? How are we going to start the game? Probably with Zoo guarding the Joker, Harden guarding Aaron Gordon. Let's say everyone's healthy. Christian Brown going to be guarded by, I think, Norman Powell. And then Chris Dunn will be guarding Jamal Murray, of course. And then MPJ should be taken by whoever that guy is. I think Amir Coffey could be fine. So that's what it is. It's going to be Amir Coffey, I'd say. We're going to play drop coverage. Just make sure. See, that pick and pop throw is dangerous. Are we going to start rotating off of off of other guys to stop Jokic from taking that pick and pop three? He is shooting the second most efficiently from catch and shoots of any player so far this season. I forget who was first, but I saw that stat yesterday. He's shooting the most efficiently of any catch and shoot player in the league, and he's a center, and he's shooting 50% from three. So we need to honestly take away that pick and pop, and I don't know about switching it because that just creates a mismatch. So there's so many ways that you can defend the Nuggets, but it's all not ideal because of Jokic. And when Murray's on, he makes it really tough too. But I guess there's the first way, which is you play drop coverage and you concede the pick and pop three, which last year was not the terrible strategy. The Minnesota Timberwolves did it a ton, and they won with it because Jokic didn't shoot well from three in that series. But 50% from three, I mean, he clearly, between the Olympics and that series last year, took it a little personally, and now he's shooting 50% from three. I mean, I know he's a guy that likes to ride horses in the offseason and not play basketball, allegedly, but I don't know. There's no way he just came back and started raining threes like this without getting some practice in the offseason, because that was a real thing. That was a real thing in the playoffs and in the Olympics. He could not hit the three ball the same way he did in 2023. Very simple. But, when I look at that particular series, Jokic from three shot 22%. Actually, no, 23%. Still, that's not good. Now he's shooting 50. So I think we're gonna have to rotate and take that away. And now our defense is in rotation, but we're making somebody else beat us. The thing is, Jamal Murray and MPJ and Christian Brown, they are pretty good three-point shooters as well. In the case of Michael Porter Jr., he's shooting 39% from three this year. Christian Brown is shooting 43% from three. Aaron Gordon is shooting 47% from three, which is absurd, although only 3 attempts a game. So Jamal Murray is actually only shooting 33%, but I'm guessing a lot of those are off the dribble. But I would say let's take our chances, The point is, every single person I named, they shoot a worse three-point percentage than Jokic. And Aaron Gordon, if you think that's going to stay at 47% the rest of the year, I mean, I'm very skeptical about that. So we're probably going to have to just rotate. If you want to switch and take away that advantage completely, the problem is they have another advantage. It's called Jokic getting a smaller guy switched onto him, in which case we're now doubling, and now the defense is in rotation that way. So you got to pick your poison, essentially. But I think we can go 3-0. I think the main key is just going to be our defense. How much can we limit? And then there's the other option of when you do allow the switch, don't help off of anybody else. Just make Jokic beat you and score 50 and then, not win the game, which literally happened against the Washington Wizards last week. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go. What's the best way? Truly, I don't know. To answer your question, I really don't know. I would have to I need more data to see what's going, I would need a little bit more data to make my conclusive decision. But if I were coaching the Clippers, what would I do to start the game? I would just rotate. Pick and pop. Someone rotates, and Zoo gets out to the next guy. Just that simple. Coming up, though, Gonna look past this game a little bit, the weekend, what we've got coming up, because it's been a little minute. Gonna be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And my Rams got a huge win last night over the San Francisco 49ers. I'm pumped about that. And this Sunday, we've got some huge matchups that are getting ready to dictate playoff positioning. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at SoFi Stadium playing against the Chargers. The Chargers are -3 for that one. We've got the Steelers and the Eagles. That should be fun. Eagles are -5.5. That one will be in Philly at Lincoln Financial. And then, of course, Sunday Night Football is going to be Green Bay and Seattle. So that should be big time. And where can you go to bet on all those games? FanDuel.com. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. So, Clipper Nation, we're back. And man, it's felt like an eternity. I'm like, geez, I want to talk about some basketball on Locked On Clippers. Like, what are we doing here? But, you know, the in-season tournament's gone on. I literally haven't watched a game of this knockout stage because this whole week I was preparing for my games for my coaching season to begin, 6th grade and 7th grade, my school season. So I have been just like, I can't lie to you, I have not been thinking about the Clippers. I have not been thinking about the NBA. I've just been maniacally planning for these games. And thankfully, my teams won both by double digits. But I thought we were going to win by 20-plus both games. Our defense was not good enough, in my opinion, but whatever. I'm a psycho, as you can. When it comes to defense, like, yeah. That's why I do enjoy the way this Clippers team plays, because I'm a defense guy to the core. Like, as far as how good of a defender I was or am, I guess, when playing basketball, I think I'm solid, but nothing crazy, you know what I mean? Because I do think defense in terms of, like, lateral movement is a skill. I'm also a smaller guy, smaller guard. So, you know, I wouldn't be a switchable defender if I was in the league and if any, anything like that. But defense means everything for me. You know, everything. If you're on my team and you play defense, you will play. And so that's why I was so frustrated with the 2-1-3 Fugazi defensive mindset, because, you know, like, they were talking about, Paul George, who's going to score on us when we first got those two guys. And it's like, you guys are the #1 offensive players on the team. Who are you going to guard the whole game? What kind of pride are you guys going to take defensively? Kawhi Leonard, he does take pride every night defensively, but he doesn't guard the best players anymore because he's the #1 option. Paul George, even though he's the #2 option, very rarely guarded elite players defensively. So when you're two wings that are taking up spots in the starting lineup, and those are essentially where the team's best defenders in today's NBA come from, and those spots are not filled with great defenders, are filled with guys that are offense first, you're not going to be as good of a defensive team as you think. And you know who had that same problem? The Celtics. And you know what they did to fix it? Drew Holiday and Derek White. That's what they did. And now Tatum and Jaylen Brown can just guard elite players whenever they feel like it. So that's the luxury. This team is not Fugazi defense. This team has a bunch of guys that are defense first, which is why I like watching them play on that end of the floor, and a coach that seems to have my same kind of passion for attention to detail on that end of the floor, Jeff Van Gundy. Because, man, there's always so much you can do defensively to be better. As a team, you know, the thing is, individual defense is super important, but like when you have 5 players on the court, you can really limit individual players' flaws if your team is on a string defensively and focused on that end of the floor. And if one guy has flaws, but still is doing the right things, he's still talking on defense, he still knows your coverages, he knows your scheme, then that player won't be a liability the same way that others that aren't doing that will, or are just lazy. And a lot of it's just laziness. If you're not sprinting back in transition, like, get out of the game. Like, I honestly just don't have any sympathy for guys that don't want to play defense. Like, that means you don't want to win to me. That means you do not want to win at a high level. And it's not about guarding elite players. It's about showing pride in whatever your role is on that end of the floor. And if you do not do that, you don't deserve to win a championship. It's that simple to me. Like, again, I'm sorry, and this is not Locked On Mavs. That's Nick Angstad and my boy Nick Angstad and Isaac Harris and Slightly Biased. And it's a great show, and I highly recommend for anybody that wants to go to any shows after Locked On Clippers, of course. But Luka Doncic last year in the finals, despite all the stuff he has to do offensively, his lack of care defensively is not serious for somebody that wants to win a championship. You can't do that. You just can't. There's two sides of this game, right? And the Clippers, we're doing pretty well on that side that matters most for me. Now, as far as the road ahead, 14-11 through 25 games, that was a pretty passionate rant about defense, Jesus. But you know what? I got to have some of those moments, right? Where, we've had so many days off. I need to, get a little bit, too many knows there, but got to get a bit animated. Now, next couple of games. We got the Utah Jazz on Monday at Intuit Dome. That'll be really fun. I'll be in the building. You'll have the Kawhi Leonard bobblehead. There's no way Kawhi Leonard returns in that game. For those that were holding out hope for it, just no way in my opinion. But that's got to be a win. We've already beaten them once, and it was pretty easy. We should beat them again. Then we've got 2 straight games in Dallas on Thursday and Saturday. Those are going to be a battle. Because Dallas, they've been one of the hottest teams in the NBA. They finally lost and broke their winning streak at OKC in the in-season tournament in the NBA Cup quarterfinals. So they'll be looking to bounce back. They're also playing the Warriors, though, before that. So we'll see if they're going to be on a losing streak or anything like that. But those 2 games are going to be very tough. So let's see how that goes. And then right after that, we play Memphis in Memphis. So next 5 games, 4 of them are going to be big-time challenges. The Utah one is a must. And then hopefully, man, if we could get Kawhi back on December 27th against Golden State at home, that ticket's going to go for so much. I would say start buying those tickets now if you don't have one. Because, they're already going to be over $100 because of Steph. But, yeah, I'm excited. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. I will most likely be live immediately after the game tonight on my channel. And then, of course, you'll get a Locked On Clippers for Saturday. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Give me your score prediction for the night. And hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video. Get us up to 7,000 subscribers. I see the number going up every single week, but let's keep on pushing and show everybody that Clipper Nation is the most loyal fan base in the NBA, and it's not close. Oh, by the way, and you got to sign up for the Locked On Clippers newsletter that I write. It's just very easy. LockedOnDaily.com. It takes 1 second and really helps your boy. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.